In the primordial mists of the world, when the gods of Olympus still walked freely among mortals, the sea deities Phorcys and Stheno, ancient children of Pontus and Gaia, brought forth a brood of monstrous offspring. Among their progeny were the three Gorgons, Stheno, Euryale, and Medusa. Born in a cavern near the edge of the world, where the sea met the shadowed cliffs, the sisters emerged under the watchful gaze of the Titans, before Zeus and his siblings claimed dominion over the cosmos. Phorcys, a god of the sea's hidden dangers, and Stheno, mother of sea monsters, imbued their daughters with an otherworldly essence, marking them as creatures both divine and dreadful. Unlike her sisters, Stheno and Euryale, who were born immortal and bore visages that inspired terror, scaly skin, tusked mouths, and writhing serpents for hair, Medusa was unique. She entered the world as a mortal, her beauty radiant and unparalleled. Her hair flowed like spun gold, her eyes sparkled like the sea under sunlight, and her grace rivaled that of the nymphs who danced in the groves of Arcadia. The Greeks would later whisper that Medusa's beauty was a gift from the divine, a reflection of the god's favor. Yet, her mortality set her apart, a fragile thread in the tapestry of her monstrous kin. Stheno, the eldest, was fierce and unyielding, her strength unmatched among the Gorgons. Euryale, the second, possessed a voice that could wail with such sorrow that it froze the hearts of mortals. Medusa, however, was gentle, her heart untouched by the ferocity of her sisters. The three lived in their isolated cavern, far from the mortal world, their existence known only to the gods and the creatures of the deep. Their bond was unbreakable, forged in the crucible of their shared lineage, though Medusa's mortal nature hinted at a destiny distinct from her immortal sisters. As Medusa grew, her beauty became a legend whispered across the Aegean. Sailors spoke of a maiden whose countenance could rival Aphrodite's, though none dared approach the Gorgon's lair. It was during this time that Athena, goddess of wisdom and war, took notice of Medusa. Unlike her fellow Olympians, who often viewed mortals as pawns or playthings, Athena saw potential in Medusa's grace and intellect. The goddess, ever seeking devotees to spread her wisdom, descended to the mortal realm in a blaze of divine light. In the solitude of the Gorgon's cavern, Athena appeared before Medusa, her owl perched on her shoulder, her aegis gleaming with divine power. "Mortal," Athena declared, "your beauty is a beacon, but it is your mind that shines brighter. Serve me, and I shall grant you wisdom to guide your path." Medusa, awestruck, knelt before the goddess, pledging her devotion. Athena, pleased, bestowed upon her a blessing, a mind sharpened with insight, a heart fortified with courage, and a voice that could sway the hearts of men. This blessing elevated Medusa beyond mere beauty, making her a figure of reverence among the coastal peoples who heard tales of her wisdom. Medusa's sisters, Stheno and Euryale, watched with pride as their mortal sister flourished under Athena's favor. Though they bore no love for the Olympians who had overthrown their Titan kin, they respected Medusa's choice to serve the goddess. Medusa, in turn, dedicated herself to Athena's temple, a modest shrine built by fishermen near the cliffs, where she offered counsel and prayers. Her life seemed poised for greatness, a mortal bridge between the divine and the earthly. Yet beauty as radiant as Medusa's could not escape the notice of the gods forever. Poseidon, god of the seas, whose dominion encompassed the shores where Medusa dwelt, became enamored of her. His heart, wild and untamed as the ocean, burned with desire. Unlike Athena, who valued Medusa's mind, Poseidon saw only her physical allure, a prize to be claimed. His pursuit began subtly, with whispers carried on the sea breeze, promises of power and immortality if she would yield to him. Medusa, steadfast in her devotion to Athena, rebuffed Poseidon's advances. She sought refuge in Athena's temple, believing the sacred space would shield her from the sea god's lust. But Poseidon, unaccustomed to denial, grew wrathful. One moonless night, as Medusa prayed alone in the temple, Poseidon descended in a torrent of sea foam and shadow. The sanctity of Athena's shrine meant nothing to him. His power rivaled that of his brother Zeus, and his desire overrode all restraint. In that hallowed place, Poseidon forced himself upon Medusa, defiling both her and the temple. Medusa's cries echoed through the night, unheard by her sisters, who slept in their distant cavern. The violation left her broken, her faith in Athena shaken, her body and spirit scarred. Poseidon, sated, vanished into the sea, leaving Medusa to face the consequences of his act alone. Athena, goddess of justice as much as wisdom, sensed the desecration of her temple. When she descended to investigate, she found Medusa weeping, her once golden hair matted with tears, the altar stained with the aftermath of Poseidon's crime. But Athena, bound by the complex politics of Olympus, could not punish Poseidon, her uncle, and a god of equal stature. Instead, her rage turned toward Medusa, the mortal who had, in her eyes, failed to protect the sanctity of the temple. "Ungrateful mortal," Athena declared, her voice cold as steel, "you have allowed my sacred space to be defiled. Your beauty, my gift, has brought ruin." Medusa, trembling, tried to speak of Poseidon's force, but Athena's judgment was swift and merciless. The goddess raised her hand, and a terrible light enveloped Medusa. Her golden hair twisted into writhing serpents, her skin turned ashen and scaled, her eyes burned with a power that turned all who met her gaze to stone. Medusa was no longer a woman, but a monster, cursed to live as a Gorgon, her beauty transformed into terror. The curse was not only a punishment, but a severance of Athena's blessing. Medusa's wisdom remained, but it was now cloaked in a form that inspired dread. Her sisters, Stheno and Euryale, wept for her transformation, their wails shaking the cliffs. Though they were already Gorgons, their monstrous forms were natural, a gift of their divine birth. Medusa's curse, however, was an aberration, a cruel twist of fate that bound her to them in form, but separated her by her mortal origins. Medusa, now a creature of nightmare, retreated with her sisters to a desolate island far from mortal shores, later known as the Isle of the Gorgons. The sisters carved out a new existence, their cavern a fortress against the world. Stheno and Euryale, immortal and fierce, protected Medusa, whose mortality made her vulnerable despite her deadly gaze. The trio became legends, whispered of by sailors who dared not sail too close to their island, fearing the stone-making eyes of the Gorgon. Medusa's heart, however, remained heavy. She mourned her lost beauty, her lost connection to Athena, and the life she might have led. Her sisters, though loving, could not fully understand her pain, for they had never known mortality or the sting of divine betrayal. The curse isolated Medusa even from them, her gaze a danger to all who approached. She learned to control it, averting her eyes, but the weight of her transformation never lifted. The gods, too, turned their backs on Medusa. Poseidon, unpunished, continued to rule the seas, his crime forgotten by Olympus. Athena, though she never revoked the curse, occasionally watched Medusa from afar, her heart torn between pity and pride. The mortal who had once served her so faithfully was now a cautionary tale, a warning of the gods' capricious nature. Centuries passed, and the legend of the Gorgons grew, becoming a tale of terror and fascination. It was during this time that Perseus, a hero favored by the gods, entered the story. Born of Zeus and the mortal Danae, Perseus was tasked by King Polydectes of Seriphos to slay Medusa and bring back her head as a gift. The quest was a ploy, for Polydectes coveted Danae and sought to rid himself of her protective son. Yet the gods, ever meddling in mortal affairs, saw in Perseus an opportunity to cement their power and rid the world of a creature they deemed an abomination. Athena, still nursing her grudge against Medusa, aided Perseus. She gifted him a polished shield, its surface a mirror to reflect Medusa's gaze safely. Hermes, the messenger god, provided winged sandals for flight, and Hades lent his helm of invisibility. The Graeae, the Gorgons' ancient sisters who shared a single eye and tooth, were coerced by Perseus into revealing the location of the Gorgons' island. Armed with divine tools and knowledge, Perseus set sail, his heart steeled for the task. Medusa, unaware of the approaching hero, lived in quiet sorrow. Her sisters, Stheno and Euryale, sensed a disturbance in the winds, a whisper of divine intent, but they could not foresee the full scope of the danger. One fateful night, as the Gorgons slept in their cavern, Perseus crept in, guided by the faint glow of Athena's shield. He found Medusa alone, her serpent hair hissing softly in slumber. Using the shield to avoid her deadly gaze, Perseus struck swiftly, severing her head with a single blow of his divine sword. Medusa's death was instantaneous, her mortal life snuffed out. From her severed neck sprang two miraculous beings, Pegasus, the winged horse, and Chryser, a golden warrior, both born of Poseidon's union with her. Her head, still bearing the petrifying gaze, was claimed by Perseus as his prize. Stheno and Euryale awoke to the horror of their sister's death, their wails echoing across the sea, but Perseus, cloaked in Hades' helm, escaped their wrath. Stheno and Euryale, devastated by Medusa's death, vowed vengeance. Their immortality made them formidable, but their monstrous forms limited their reach. They pursued Perseus across the seas, their cries shaking the heavens, but the hero's divine allies shielded him. Athena, in particular, ensured Perseus' safety, placing Medusa's head upon her aegis as a symbol of her triumph over the mortal who had, in her view, betrayed her. The sisters' quest for revenge was short-lived. The gods, wary of the Gorgons' power and unwilling to tolerate their defiance, conspired to end their threat. According to some accounts, preserved in fragmented texts like those of Apollodorus, Stheno, and Euryale, were hunted by a coalition of heroes and divine agents. Unlike Medusa, whose mortality made her vulnerable, the immortal Gorgons could not be killed by mortal hands alone. Instead, the gods employed subtler means. Stheno, the fiercest of the Gorgons, was lured to a trap on the island of Crete. There, a band of warriors blessed by Ares confronted her. Though she fought with unmatched ferocity, turning dozens to stone, the warriors used mirrored shields, a tactic inspired by Perseus. Overwhelmed, Stheno was bound in chains forged by Hephaestus, imbued with divine power to restrain immortals. She was cast into a hidden abyss, a prison beneath the earth where her roars could no longer trouble the world. Some say she remains there, raging against her captivity, her immortality a curse of eternal confinement. Euryale, the wailing Gorgon, met a different fate. Her sorrowful cries drew the attention of Apollo, god of music and prophecy, who saw her voice as a threat to his domain. He descended to the Gorgons' island, accompanied by his muses, whose songs countered Euryale's wails. In a confrontation steeped in divine magic, Apollo's lyre wove a spell that silenced Euryale's voice, stripping her of her greatest weapon. Without her wail, she was vulnerable. A hero, whose name is lost to history, struck her down, not with a blade, but with a relic of divine origin, perhaps a gift from Apollo himself. Euryale's body crumbled into the sea, her immortal essence scattered, leaving no trace but the echo of her final cry. With the deaths of Medusa, Stheno, and Euryale, the Gorgon lineage was extinguished. Medusa's head, wielded by Perseus, became a tool of divine justice, turning his enemies to stone until he gifted it to Athena. The goddess affixed it to her aegis, a permanent reminder of her power and the consequences of defying the gods. Pegasus and Chrysaor, Medusa's offspring, went on to forge their own legends, their divine origins a testament to the complex interplay of mortal and immortal in Medusa's story. The tale of Medusa and her sisters became a cautionary myth told and retold by poets, philosophers, and priests. To some, Medusa was a victim, a mortal woman caught in the crossfire of divine egos, her beauty both a blessing and a curse. To others, she was a monster, justly punished for her role in the desecration of Athena's temple. Stheno and Euryale, though less prominent in the tales, were remembered as fierce protectors, their loyalty to their sister undiminished by their monstrous forms. The gods, as always, remained above reproach. Poseidon's crime faded into the background, overshadowed by the spectacle of Medusa's curse and Perseus's heroism. Athena, though complicit in Medusa's suffering, emerged as a symbol of divine order, her aegis a warning to all who would challenge her. Yet, in the quiet moments of the night, when the sea whispers against the cliffs, some say Medusa's spirit lingers, a reminder that even the gods' justice is not without flaw.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this and would like to see more, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, uncover the truth and question the past.